to give you a reminder. You're actually here to learn more about summer virtual programs for students. Really, really doing that connection of like passion and ensuring that students really understand, well, what could be my purpose, right? I mean, I would say, and Jose, you're welcome to chime in. I would say that even for adults, we ask ourselves, what is our purpose? But if you're just joining us, I do want to go over some digital community guidelines, and then we'll quickly go into our intros. But first and foremost, if you're just joining us, we are only asking for cameras off just for the reason that we will be recording and archiving, and I know not everyone feels comfortable being on camera as well. Also, feel free to use the chat box. This is a time for you to share any comments or thoughts. And I see the keyword relevant. You're like, okay, again, how are hot dogs and sandwiches relevant to this conversation? We just want to make it fun. And then we also asked our educators, students, parents, whoever's joining, just maintaining a respectful and collaborative environment. So thank you all for joining. And if you are here once again, then you're probably already familiar with me, but if you're not, my name is Denise Oved. I am Senior Manager of Programs with the TGR Foundation, and I closely work with our Irwood Scholar Program and College Access Outreach. And I'm actually going to turn it over to my co-pilot today, and I'm super excited because he's actually going to kickstart this presentation, and definitely going to be sharing a lot of great information today. And Jose, before I do turn it over, I do want to remind folks that we will be sharing the slides to this webinar. So don't worry about like, oh my God, do I have to take like mad notes on every little thing they're saying? No, you don't. And then also because it is being recorded, this will be living on our YouTube channel as well. And for our YouTube watchers, thank you so much for watching us at your own pace. So Jose, take it away.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you. And hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. My name is Jose Rivera, and I am the volunteer coordinator at the TGR Learning Lab in Anaheim, California. And I oversee and supervise the volunteers that we have in our actual location. So we are going to be starting off with a pause and reflect activity. And we just want you all to kind of pause and reflect on these questions. Feel free to write or type these answers. We're not asking you to, share them because we do want this to be a self-reflection and for you to be honest with yourself. And at this moment, we're just going to be thinking about some of our interests and who we are as well. So our first question that we have for you includes writing down 1 or 2 things you enjoy doing during your downtime. So think about some things that, you enjoy participating in when you are, just relaxing or you just want to do a hobby. Think about that, write that down, and just reflect on that for a couple of seconds before we move on to our next question, okay?
Jose, and while people are writing and reflecting on this, can I ask you, like, what's one thing that you enjoy doing during your downtime?
One of my really good passions for me is just kind of listening to music, something about really sitting there, listening to the lyrics, getting to hear the story that's being told, and then hearing how it kind of combines with the melody of the music and the instrumentals is something that I really find relaxing and pretty interesting as well. How about you?
That's a good question. Actually, recently I took on learning how to play the keyboard. I got myself a keyboard last year, and I've been kind of a little self-taught via YouTube videos. So that's one little fun fact I like to do during my downtime. But I know you have a couple more questions for
Okay,
folks.
so we can move on to our next one. The second question we have is, what is a subject or topic you constantly wonder about? So think about, some things that you have running through your mind at, mostly any time or when you are, taking a little breather away from stuff. So I see Carl said drawing in Spanish. So that's kind of good to see. Thank you, Carl, for sharing. And I do know some people, need some time to think about this as well. So feel free to take a couple of seconds. I know for me, something that I'm usually thinking about is astronomy. I like to think about the stars, about the universe. And yeah, if anybody else wants to share, like Denise said, feel free to do so in the chat and we can read out your questions. How about you, Denise? What are some things that you like to think about?
I think something that really intrigues me, and I think, especially in the time that we're all living, is diversity and equity issues happening, And I feel like it's not just in the last couple years, but even prior to that, I feel like I'm more committed to wonder and have more curiosities about these particular topics.
I agree, I agree. Thank you. And then our last question that we have for you all is, what is one new activity you would like to try in the next 6 months? We're not asking you to, make this a goal, but we just want to see what you are, kind of planning for yourselves, something that you want to try out for yourselves and something new that, you haven't had the chance to yet, but really want to kind of take that initiative to do. So think about that for just a couple of seconds before we move on to our next slide. Ooh, Sophia said learn to drive. That's a good one. That one for sure will help you for the rest of your life. So hopefully you're able to do that pretty soon.
We
And I
need
wish you
to have, Jose, I feel like we need to have like a virtual meetup where we just talk about like your first time learning how to drive. Um, Mine was a little traumatic. Definitely did not like my dad being my teacher. I totally appreciated my mom being my teacher for learning how to drive.
it was pretty traumatic, yes, but I'm here, I'm driving, so I guess it worked out. So I think we can move on to our next slide. Thank you everybody for participating and for sharing. And we hope that's something you were able to learn a little bit more about yourself. But you might be wondering now, why did we do that activity? What was the purpose of that? And that's totally valid. So we wanted to kind of allow you all to kind of self-reflect on what you find interesting, as well as what are some of your passions, because we want you to make a connection to what you might want to be doing this summer. So we want you to understand what your whats are before your why, because that is totally crucial. So thinking about, what is what you want to do, or what are some of the things that interest you. So a lot of people really do like to say, I want to help people, but how do you want to help people? In what capacity? Who is your audience for this help? And what can you do to gain more experience for that as well? It's also important to kind of notice that you might want to build some of your power skills. So power skills, for those that may need a little bit more clarification on this, include, if you ever see on a resume people saying, I have judgment capacities, I'm able to problem solve, I'm able to communicate with people effectively. Those are some really great power skills that, are really important to kind of gain throughout your lifetime, and something that will really take you far in your career and even anything that you do in your life, which is really important. So those are some of the power skills. Of course, there are many others, so don't feel like those are the only ones you may have, but feel free to explore those on your own. And then we also have foster creativity and inquisitiveness. So kind of allowing yourself to kind of learn more about what you are interested in and how to do that, and how to be creative with it. Learn how to do different techniques, learn how to explore different skills, and don't limit to yourself to only the things that you're learning in school, but to many things that you may have interest in. And then the last one we have is explore various interests to create multiple pathways. Again, we don't want to limit ourselves. We don't want you to, make yourself think that it's in a box and you can only do things that are inside that box. We want you to reach out to different things that you are interested in. I know some people said that, they want to drive, like Sophia mentioned. And that's important too, because, that might not be something that you're able to do in your own time during school, but during the summer, that may be a great thing to kind of look out for and do in your own time as well. And I think that is something that, is really important for us to kind of remember, think about, and then find ways to do as well. So now we kind of move on to some of the things that you can probably do during the summertime, or even throughout the academic year, but mostly in the summertime you kind of want to focus on through volunteer and internship opportunities. So we do want to highlight some different activities and opportunities that might be of interest to you all. So the first one we have for you all is the Los Angeles Times High School Insider Summer Internship. So this internship is actually by the Los Angeles Times, which is the newspaper in Los Angeles. And they are offering opportunities for, high schoolers to kind of get an inside experience of what it is like to be a professional journalist. So interns will have the opportunity to experience life as a professional journalist. by covering on the news, covering the news that professionals usually do. So the breaking news, topics about sports, topics about popular culture, and different things that you might have seen on the news in recent times. This program is actually running from June 21st to July 30th, and interns are actually paid $15 an hour for this opportunity. So this is one of those internships that is a paid opportunity. The opportunity is fully remote, so you will still continue doing virtually. And that's actually really cool because if you do this virtually, you don't have to limit to yourself to only being in the area. So if we do have any, students or educators, anybody that is joining us from far away, just know that this is a remote opportunity that you don't have to actually be in the area for. It is open to current high school students and recent high school graduates. And the program runs from Monday to Friday. And applications are due by tomorrow, May 14th. So if you are interested, make sure you submit very soon. I know Sophia said, is there flexible schedules? I do remember seeing that they did mention that they are going to keep it to 6 hours a day. And the usual day that they have is from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., depending on what the news is or what they have you cover. So it might have some flexibility, but I don't want to say that, I don't want to kind of guarantee that. But feel free to check that out on the website if you are interested, because they might be able to have a little bit more for you to kind of go off from there.
Yeah.
But thank you, Sophia, for that.
Jose, can I actually chime in and add something? So as Jose mentioned, we're going to be spotlighting a lot of different programs. So we may not have every single detail, but we do encourage everyone to do some more research. And if for whatever reason you do get into the program, don't be afraid to reach out to the folks in charge. Because they'll definitely have all of the answers to your questions. We just wanted to make sure we did our research and highlighted some programs that you all may be interested in. And we have a lot of different search engines that we'll be sharing with you throughout the presentation.
Thank you, Denise. And yes, just like Denise said, we have many other opportunities for you all. So the second one we have highlighted for you all is one by Education for All's student virtual internship opportunities. So Education for All is actually looking for passionate and creative student volunteers to support in multiple opportunities and positions. So some of the current positions that they are accepting applications for include graphic designer, creative content writer, video production team member, and many others as well. The opportunity is actually meant for high school students because many of the actual employees for this and people that run this organization are actually high school students themselves. Because they want to kind of have this educational opportunity for students who are looking for ways to help other high school students as well. We do advertise that they are flexible, they work with your schedule and actually allow you to gain more experiences throughout the opportunity. Professional experience is not required. So this is one of these great opportunities that if you have something to offer and you are passionate about something, feel free to check it out because you might gain some professional experience that you can use in the future. And it really is a really great resume builder as well. And then if any of these opportunities that we just shared might have not been exactly what you're looking for, we do want to kind of highlight other ways to get involved. So our first one is How to College First Generation internships. And actually, sorry, How to College First Gen. It's actually a podcast created by first generation college graduates in an effort to democratize education and information. So I don't know how many of you all are, going to be first generation college students, but the process is really, really interesting for first generation college students because you have to learn a lot about the college process on your own and even with resource centers around you. So this opportunity actually allows, the democratization of education and information to help future first generation college students get a better sense of what they're going into when they go into college. Some of the positions that they have include marketing intern, partnerships intern, high school ambassador and production team intern. And the deadline to apply is actually May 21st for this opportunity. However, don't feel like these are the only ones that you may only have an opportunity to apply for. We do have some search engines for programs and opportunities that you might want to look through. We do have Volunteer Match, which actually, both Volunteer Match and Volunteer Crowd actually help you look for different volunteer opportunities in your area or even remote opportunities. And these actually allow you to, look for the different skills that you may have or skills that you want to build on your own and look for opportunities that may help you with those as well. And just because, these, we do have volunteer and internship programs that we are highlighting, that doesn't mean that these are the only things that you can use to build your skills throughout the summer. We do have some other opportunities and different ways to kind of include skill building for the future. So the second thing we wanted to mention about skill building include science, tech, engineering, and math programming that might help you in building your skills. So the first one that we really wanted to highlight is the TGR Learning Lab summer programs. So at the TGR Learning Lab, we are focused on opening your mind to potential careers and college majors available to you. So instructors at the TGR Learning Lab will actually be offering free virtual summer classes per student. And you heard that right, they're completely free. These classes will be offered to students who are in grades 9 through 12, starting in the fall of 2021, so this upcoming school year. To participate in these virtual classes, each student will actually need a computer and device with internet connection because we will be continuing doing our virtual programming for all students that are interested. The 2021 virtual summer class schedule is actually as follows, as you can see on the right side of the screen. We have some for the week of June 28th to July 1st, July 12th to July 15th, July 19th to July 22nd, and then July 26th to July 29th. Every week consists of 4 days with classes being 90 minutes each. And these classes are an incredible opportunity for all, especially to those who are still refining what their passions are and their interests are as well. Having these free opportunities is actually allowing students to gain further perspective of what these topics entail of, and even allow you to discover a future career pathway that you may have never thought about before. So if you are interested, the link is embedded where the slide reads free virtual summer classes, or also feel free to check out the links that have been added to the chat, or tgrfoundation.org for more details as well. So this might be a really, really great opportunity for you all, but we also have some other opportunities we want to share with you, including free to low cost pre-college programs. So the first one we have is the Emory and Henry College and Healthcare Careers Camps. This is actually for rising high school juniors and seniors. It's an online version to engage with healthcare professionals with a fee of $30 to participate. We also have some search engines for programs for you all to kind of check out on your own time when you feel ready. And we have College Matchpoint, which actually highlights STEM programs and online courses at colleges and universities for high school students to take for credit or non-credit, which is really great, especially if you are going to be considering going to college in the near future. This can be something that you can use to get an advantage on your college applications. And then we also have Cientifico Latino. And the Cientifico Latino project actually comes from a drive to increase the pool of minority scientists and professionals by creating a platform for everyone. They have curated through their team and volunteers a list of STEM opportunities for high school students for you all to kind of look into and then also apply to those that you find interesting. But we hope that you had learned something new, and I'm passing it on to Denise.
Thanks, Jose. So hopefully you're all feeling like, okay, I'm learning about a lot of different opportunities, and you really take the time, especially once we send all of this information, for you to apply to some of these programs. But I think one of the biggest curiosities that students are having outside of STEM, I would say, are academic and college prep programs. So the first one that I wanted to talk about, so the TGR Foundation is actually offering a virtual college bound academy, which is a 1-week virtual academy throughout the summer that focuses on the college admissions and financial aid process for four-year universities. I will go over a little bit over the eligibility requirements for folks, but definitely want to talk about some of the benefits. So we'll be doing a lot of different digital workshops. We'll be talking about the common application, building a college list, writing a personal statement, pretty much everything you can think about. We are going to do our best to try to cover within that week time frame. But even beyond the week, a lot of the students will actually continue to have college application support. There will also be college info sessions. We'll have guest speakers. We also have an added layer of mentorship where students will have the opportunity, if they're interested, to be matched with a college mentor. So that will be a unique piece to this program. But in addition, I think, and I'll be quite frank, I feel like a lot of students, especially in this past year, are really craving team building with other students. And I know, although a virtual environment, this is something that we really highly focus on because we want to make sure that students feel like they're actually also building relationships with other students. that also feel stressed out about the college application process, because we all know that those are just normal feelings that so many students have. With that said, the sessions will be taking place, as you see there, July 19th through the 23rd, July 26th through the 30th, and August 2nd through the 6th. We will also be adding a flyer on how you can actually register if you're interested. But some of the eligibility requirements is this program is free, and it's on a filled on a first come first served basis, just because we will only be taking so many students. They also have to be entering their senior year of high school this fall, and they must demonstrate a college prep curriculum with a 3.0 GPA or above. Students will not be allowed to miss any days because it is only a 5-day program. So we want to make sure that they'll stay dedicated. If for whatever reason you have the opportunity to register and at some point you're unable to participate, we do ask students to cancel their registration. That way we can give an opportunity for a student that may be on a wait list to be part of this program. But again, we'll add that document in the chat, and then we'll also send it to all of the folks that registered for this session. And you're welcome to forward it to anyone that you may know. It's open to all students across the country. With that said, I did want to kind of highlight some other pre-college programs. And obviously there's like thousands and thousands of colleges and universities throughout the country that are offering different virtual summer programs. But with that said, we were just going to highlight one of these. So the University of Southern California is actually offering junior days. So if you are a junior in high school, they're actually helping these students, particularly underrepresented students, to kickstart their college application process. So I know that it's probably going to look different if you are, you know, pretty much participating in different college prep programs, but check it out. And make sure you double check the deadlines because they have different dates throughout the summer. So just make sure you check this information, especially once we share the slides. I would say the other thing too, because there's such a huge, robust list of pre-college programs, we actually found this really neat tool via Cappex, which has so many programs that students can apply for. And I think one of the biggest questions we got, like, oh, are you going to be sharing, you know, free or low cost programs? And that was one of our biggest intentions today, is to kind of put all of that programming together. On the Cappex search engine, there are programs that do have some, you know, hefty fees. But with that said, if a student is eligible, they might be able to apply for financial aid. So I really encourage you to look at all of that information because it may be something that may be suited for you. All right, so the next thing is, you know, I feel like this is such an important piece to so many of our students. And I feel like leadership skills, I mean, it's everywhere, like how you build upon that, right? But I would even say, how are students wanting to be part of this social impact, this social movement? And students are being a lot more mindful on the types of opportunities that they apply for. And that's what we really wanted to provide for students today. What sort of social impact or leadership programs are available? So actually, the American Civil Liberties Union, also known as the ACLU, is offering an advocacy institute for high school students. I believe you have to be 15 years through 18 years old. And it's available for students across the country in the United States. And it's a 1-week learning experience. So if you're really big on, you know, social justice issues and you really want to be an advocate for communities, this may be the program for you. Or maybe if you're not really sure if this is something you may want to do, make sure that you still apply for these type of opportunities. This is a time for students to really explore and really get an understanding of what they do and don't like. And then I would say that through this program, students will actually learn directly from lawyers, community activists, and other experts that defend civil rights. So I think this is really neat. I mean, to be honest with you, all of these opportunities we're talking about right now, I'm like, gosh, I totally wish I knew of these type of opportunities when I was in high school or even middle school. I believe they're also going to be having like classroom sessions, lectures. They may also have debates. So a lot more to come, when it comes to the different strategies that are shared. I will say that the deadline to apply for this program is coming up very soon, which is on May 23rd. So I would encourage students to really check it out, maybe after you're done listening to us right now. I would also like to say, and it's actually going to, segue into the next slide, is that at the TGR Foundation, we don't only work with the elementary, middle, and high school students, but we also work with college students. So if you have an older sibling that's in college, or if we have educators on this call that still keep in touch with their college students, ACLU is also offering virtual programs for college students right now. So have them check out this opportunity. The other program that I was really excited to talk about, and I think I just needed a highlight, and yes, you're thinking like, okay, like we want more middle and high school. Well, everything so far has been middle and high school, but given that we do work with a lot of college students, Carnegie Mellon's Heinz College is actually offering an amazing program for juniors and seniors at the college level. And we definitely wanted to just give this program a bit of a shout out, where they actually will be offering a virtual conference this summer, and it's going to be focusing on public interest technology, which goes in depth into this growing field and how technology is utilized to address issues in public policy and equity. So take a look at their deadlines. And again, feel free to share with anyone that you feel may be interested. I know it kind of cuts off there, but you kind of see what dates their conference schedule will be taking place and some of the other requirements. All right, so with that said, a few more that we may want to highlight when it comes to leadership and social impact is, so UPenn, University of Pennsylvania, is also offering a social justice research academy. Again, there is financial aid available for this particular program, so I do advise students to take a look at the eligibility requirements. If you need support, reach out to a teacher, reach out to a community mentor, someone that can help you with that process. And also don't be afraid to reach out to staff. Just to see, like, is there any way that you can assist me with this process, because maybe it's new to you. I know that if I would have asked my parents for their help in filling out these applications, maybe they wouldn't have known how to help me. So it's like, how can you ask for your community mentors to support you through that process? In case you're wondering, so the Social Justice Research Academy actually brings students from around the world for 3 weeks, and they dive deep into the past, present, and future of social justice. So I think it's really neat. Again, if this was available when I was in high school, I would have been right on top of that. And here's the thing, we understand that some of the programs that we spotlighted, maybe you're thinking like, well, I don't know if they're for me. Maybe I'm looking for something else. We also provided a few more search engines. And again, these search engines, I mean, it's a robust list to the point where you're like, wow, like I didn't even realize there's so many opportunities. So if we have any middle school students on this call, or if we have any parents of middle school students, I would actually encourage you to check out the CHCI Next Op website, which is a search engine that provides middle, high school, and undergraduate students the opportunity to research pre-college and leadership programs, as well as internships and scholarship opportunities across the country. It's free, you don't have to sign up for anything. It's literally, as soon as you click on that link, it takes you directly on there, and you could actually select, okay, I'm a middle school student, and it filters out all of the opportunities based on like what you jotted down, which is why I really love it. Also, we have FastWeb. So I know in the past, FastWeb has really been known for scholarship opportunities, but recently they actually put a list of summer programming together for high school students for this summer for 2021. So also make sure that you take a look at it, because there's a lot of different pre-college programs, leadership programs, social impact, but even then they also have opportunities for STEM as well. So take a look at that. And Jose, if you don't mind chiming in, can you talk a little bit more about the LA Works virtual volunteering opportunity?
Yeah, so the LA Works virtual opportunity is kind of a resource for you to kind of see what kind of virtual opportunities are available in the LA area. So for all of you that are interested in, volunteering in the LA area or live in the LA area, LA Works really gathers all the information about, any opportunities that are out there in that area, and kind of shares it with you so you can kind of get more of an idea of, what opportunities are out there, what you can get involved in, or even just knowing what is happening in your community. I think that's a really great resource to kind of know about, and getting to know what's in the now in your community. So that's a really great opportunity for anybody that wants to volunteer in the LA area or just wants to know what's going on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jose, for that. And then, of course, I would say that many of us are actually familiar with the American Red Cross, but definitely check out the opportunities that they have to offer. I feel like a lot of the opportunities that are on there, they're really trying to find students that can help virtually canvas and also help with database information as well. So take a look at what type of opportunities you might be able to be involved with this particular organization. So you're probably like, oh my gosh, so many opportunities. I don't even know where to start now. Or maybe you're feeling like, okay, so there were a lot of opportunities shared, but I don't really see something that I like, or maybe that I relate to, or maybe you're just really having a hard time like brainstorming what you may want to do this summer. So one of the tasks that I actually encourage folks to do, particularly our students, is if perhaps you have a career interest, like you don't need to know exactly what you want to do in the future, but something that you hope to explore, I encourage you to do these following steps. Obviously, we are very blessed with Google, and there's so many things that we can, research these days. I usually tell students, Google a job posting of a career that you're interested in. So with that said, before I go into detail on the job posting that you see here, is once you Google that job posting, look through the job posting, get familiar with it, and look at the skills that that job posting requires, okay? And this is key, and this is where it's really important. At that point, once you see, okay, this job is requiring me to be familiar with this software, or maybe I need to work on this type of programming and so forth, at that point, you can do some more online research with those keywords, for example, and literally Google free to low cost programs, and then you can put the key skill on there. So for example, here you see that I actually Googled software engineer, and one of the companies that came up was Raytheon Technologies. And where you see those yellow arrows, you see that there's a number of skills that they require. If you see some of the software, for example, they have JavaScript, they also have Python, Windows, and say you're not familiar with any of those sorts of apps or software, again, go to Google and literally put free virtual programs on how to better prepare for JavaScript, and you would be surprised. And of course, there's a good, the awesome YouTube channel that also shows students how to learn these type of skills. So this is just an idea. Now that we kind of brainstormed this, let's address the obvious. We are definitely virtually burnt out. And I even saw that in our Eventbrite questions, how can we, address this piece? Obviously we've not necessarily lived in a pandemic in a very long time, and it's been such an interesting time, not just for our educators, but particularly for our students. If y'all didn't know, it's definitely Mental Health Awareness Month this month of May. And the overuse of technology is very real. I mean, I was actually just talking to a colleague earlier, sometimes I get a little spacey because there's so much in my brain that I'm trying to filter through, that it happens to all of us. So for our students on the call, trust me, you're not alone. We definitely feel how you're feeling in this very moment. So with that said, we wanted to also address okay, what if you don't want to do any virtual opportunities? What are some ways that you can find some opportunities in your communities? So I would say the first thing is some libraries are starting to open up now. And I know a lot of community centers, cities, they have a shortage of folks, trying to find support to help, and they're really leaning on volunteers, even interns and so forth. So I would say give them a call, check out to see if they have any non-virtual opportunities there that, if you feel like it's safe for you to go and so forth and volunteer there, check out those opportunities. Also, check out your local community centers. Similar to the local libraries within your city, a lot of them are really looking for support and help right now. You can ask to see where you can possibly volunteer if possible. In addition, this is maybe a little virtual, a little non-virtual, but you may want to research some nonprofit organization within your local vicinity to see if they need support. I know a lot of food banks, that are really, in dire need of volunteers. And a lot of the times they do take high school students. So these are opportunities that you can take a look at. But, one thing that I also want to talk about, and Jose, you're more than welcome to chime in because I think this is a bigger conversation, is I feel like summer is also a moment, especially if you do feel burnt out, take a break. I think it's important for students to not overcommit. If they feel okay, I'm just mentally drained and I need to take a step back from being in front of a screen. But if you're that student that has really enjoyed, has really thrived with this virtual energy, hey, kudos to you, take advantage of it as well. But I feel like what's happening a lot, and in speaking to some of our high school students, is students are, and I hope there's parents on this call, I feel like students are feeling pressure that if they feel like there's a peer that is literally involved in a million things over the summer, and they're like, well, how is my peer doing it when I don't even know if I have that mental and emotional capacity right now to do it? I feel like comparison really does not help students find what is unique to them. And I think as parents, as educators, even for other high school students or middle school students that are on this call, think about it this way, how can you be a peer mentor to another student to make sure that they also feel supported in case they don't decide to participate in a program. So yeah, again, use this time. You could also use this time to take a step back. Use this time to connect with others. If you feel like, especially depending where you're at, because I know every state is a little different with how, things are happening within the pandemic. But if it's safe at this point in time for you to connect with others outside of using a computer, connect with them, learn from them. If possible, you could even look at job shadowing opportunities as well. Okay, not everything has to be a formal program. And then if we have any students on this call right now that are getting ready to apply to college next year, I think I feel like that's a huge myth where it's like, oh my God, everything has to be super formal so I could add it to my resume. Actually, no, there's a lot of responsibilities that students have that are outside of the norm. I mean, we might have students that maybe are helping their families with their small business, and maybe they don't necessarily consider that experience, but guess what? That's actually a lot of experience, because they're working on their power skills. So this is just something that I personally feel very passionate about, because I think mental and emotional well-being is very important. And I think even more so right now, um, just because we want to make sure that our students, all of our students, no matter where you're at, that you're thriving, and that you don't feel like you're just surviving through the school year or through your summer. But Jose, I don't know. I know I talk a lot. So like, is there anything you would like to add to that?
No, I completely agree with what you said. I think that the opportunities we shared and, just even getting you all interested in, virtual opportunities or internships, that's really incredible. But always put your own needs first as well. We want to make sure that whatever you commit to that, you feel comfortable doing, that you feel like you're in the capacity to do so. And just assess what you can do at the moment and what you are able to kind of contribute to, because we want to make sure that your well-being always comes first. So make sure that you assess yourself, make sure that you feel comfortable with what you're doing, and make sure that you're doing what you can to make sure that you are always at your best.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what, Jose, something that also came up in the Eventbrite was, how students are experiencing learning loss, and how do they use the summer to, try their best to feel like they're catching up, especially as many schools are going back in person. Perhaps if the student, and this is for parents, I think it's very unique. I feel like every student is different. Um, I don't like to give like blanket statements or one size fits all type of solutions, but I think it's really opening that conversation with your child and seeing where they're at. Um, and feeling like, okay, how open are you to possibly maybe they can get a virtual tutor? And here's the thing, I actually used to be a tutor when I was a high school student, and I would actually do it for free because I was building on my power skills. Perhaps there's a neighbor of yours that might be open to virtually tutoring your child, or someone within your community that will do it for free, because you'd be surprised, there's a lot of people that are really willing to help. Especially kudos to all of the parents out there, and even educators who are parents that have been multitasking. I know it's a lot on your plate, so kudos to you all. But again, you know, try to investigate what resources does my school have to offer, what resources does my community have to offer, what resources does my city offer, to see if there's any way where they can bridge the learning gaps that have happened over the course of the last year. So we just really wanted to address that. And as we're getting to a close, I think one of the things that we really wanted to point out was also, we have our TGRedu Explorer website. And this is mainly for educators and families who are looking for lesson plans or activities or opportunities. This could actually be something you could do over the summer as well. We have self-paced modules in STEM. We also have self-paced modules in college access that could be done within a 30-minute time frame. So if this is something that your student, or even a high school, middle school student may want to do because maybe they're bored, maybe they're done with Netflix and they're done with all the activities they're doing, and they're just really trying to find ways to stimulate their minds, feel free to check this out. In addition, I would encourage you all, if you haven't already, feel free to check out our YouTube channel. We actually have a lot of different webinars that we've had over the course of the year that still might be relevant to you and might better prepare you for things that are coming your way in the fall. So take a look at this. Also, you're more than welcome to follow us on Twitter or Instagram, or check out both of our websites. We also have our TGR Foundation.org website. And with that said, I do want to give folks time if they want to ask questions. You're more than welcome to add those in the chat. And while I give you guys time to ask your questions, there was a couple questions that came on Eventbrite. There's just so many, we won't get to all of them, but I wanted to address some of these. And Jose, if you don't mind, I want to ask you, like, what tips do you have for this first question? So we had someone ask, do you have a recommendation for what the balance between fun and work should be over the summer?
Wow, that's actually a really great question because, yeah, I think the circumstances that we have, you know, even in regular times, I think the circumstances are really, really interesting, but especially right now with what we all are dealing with. This, again, just like Denise was mentioning before, it's something you can't really answer with the blanket statement. This you really have to really assess with what you are, you know, dealing with in your own life, what you're experiencing, and just see what you need for your own needs. You know, if you have a little bit of more time and you feel like you can take on more projects, feel free to, you know, take on those projects during the summer. Feel free to, you know, do what you can and do the volunteer opportunities and the internships that you can. If you're more like a person like how I was or how I am sometimes, where I'm just like, I just need to relax, or I just need to take some time for myself to practice self-care for a little bit longer. Feel free to take that time as well to, you know, enjoy the summer, have some fun. Not saying that internships aren't fun, they can be. But if you just, you know, want to explore, you know, just explore some interests on your own time. Again, you don't have to do your skills or your interests in a formal way. You know, you don't have to do it in a way that's like, I need to get it through paper. I need to make sure that I have a certificate for this. No, like if you want to kind of learn more about your mind, study your mind, see what works for you, see if there's better skills that you can learn to, you know, make yourself a better student, or even if you just want to improve your people skills, you can do that without a certification, or you can do that without a formal program. So what tips do I have in order for you to kind of balance between fun and work? Do what you can do what you feel is, you know, the most valuable to yourself, and, you know, don't compare yourself to anybody else. You don't have to do that. Just do what you can and assess what you can, and, you know, whatever you do, be proud of it as well. So you should be good. But that's what I have to say for that.
Thank you, Jose. And Jose, you actually kind of segued into our second question a little bit. The second question was, what type of summer programs would you recommend students to take? Again, kind of looking at what we just presented today, I think this is an opportunity for students. I think the way I can break it down in my head are two things. Actually, three things. One, what are your interests? What are you curious about? You do not need to have the feeling that you have to major or pursue this career for sure in the future. This is the time for you to just explore and get more familiar with you know, what excites you, what makes you happy, like what interests you, what challenges you. Okay. The second thing is, if you are a student that feels like I just you know, could not catch up during the academic year, it was really difficult for me, I'm really behind in like algebra 2, or I'm really behind in my geometry class, you know, consider finding fun ways on how you can bridge those learning gaps. And again, hopefully we provided some tools on how you can do that. And then the third thing is, and what's far most important, is I would really just recommend for students to really use this time to pause and reflect on how you would like to have a successful next school year. What are some things that you can work on, and just be a better student, a better individual, a better person, just in general. Because I feel like we've been on this information overload that a lot of us have had a hard time really like pinpointing those things, okay? So that's kind of my answer. And maybe you feel like, well, no, you're not telling me what type of summer program. But again, it's kind of hard to say like what's going to be good for everyone, really, right? I would say the last question that we have is for students and parents who feel like they have a lot of learning loss and are looking to do more academic or remedial programs this summer. What should they do if they feel like an art program is a waste of time when they should do a math course? Oof, okay. That is a great question, and it sounds like it's a very unique question to that particular student. I would say I don't like to use the word balance anymore because, to be honest with you, in my perspective, I don't think there's such a thing as balance. I actually heard someone say, try to find the harmony in your life, because one thing is always going to be a little stronger than the other. So where can you find that harmony? So if you're a student or your child, or for our high school or middle school students on this call, if you're really interested in being a part of an art program, how can you find the harmony to also maybe get tutored on a math course that you're struggling in? Maybe you just find maybe 30 minutes a week or an hour a week for the math, and maybe you dedicate like 2 or 3 hours for your art program. So I think it's really trying to find the harmony in that. And I would say that this really applies to all students. And then the second question, and Jose, you're more than welcome to chime in, is how can we get more parents and students to choose non-academic summer activities? Personally, I would say that some of the activities we provided today, or programs we provided, not all of them are academic. So hopefully, also, I actually forgot to mention, we didn't highlight this one, but I believe Nike has virtual summer camps for students. So if that's something you're interested in, we are definitely going to curate another list of opportunities that might have not been spotlighted here. And we'll be sending that via email to all folks. So that's actually a non-academic activity if you want to see it that way. But Jose, I don't know, any closing thoughts on these questions?
Honestly, they were all really, really great questions. I, enjoy getting to know a little bit more about, what our students are interested in, and exactly what their interest levels are, for sure. But yeah, just like the last question we had, like Denise said, the opportunities that we mentioned, some of them were academic, of course. They had to deal with school-related subjects. Others were a little bit different, where it's like your community-based, or if you want to do some social justice work, those were included as well. But feel free to, just like we mentioned earlier, like Denise mentioned when she was talking about the search engines, find what you're interested in, see what it provides, see what you can provide for it as well, and go for it. It doesn't all have to be academic. And, if you are using this for college resources later on, or for your college applications, show what you're interested in through your activities that you do, because that's going to help you as well to kind of show who you are as a person.
Well, Jose, and for everyone on this call, and if you're watching us on our YouTube channel, hopefully that was very helpful, insightful on maybe some programming that as a student you may want to do this summer, or even as an educator you may want to share with your students. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you found this helpful. We hope that this information helps you find the opportunity that's best for you. And again, don't overcommit, don't overload yourself. Make sure you make time to pause and reflect. And with that said, wishing everyone the best of luck for this upcoming year. And thank you so much for joining us.